Monday Night Raw was as average as you can get it. And seeing how we are having qualifying matches for Survivor Series picks are, I feel like, in the most repetitive semblance of the name, pretty, yeah, it's just repetitive at this point. I mean, I want to be excited because, of course, I love November for obvious reasons. But Survivor Series is one of my favorite pay-per-views. I like the concepts. I love the dream all-star type thing. I like the importance in the stipulations. Now we came from, like, at least at the point like 2005. It's been years. It take many years to build up, like, legitimacy over some of the guys that are obviously constants on Raw and SmackDown. So seeing them, like, literally against each other and have this major brand, like, brand to brand bragging rights crap was cool. But thanks how irrelevant and how inconsistent the brand split has been to even signify any identity for both Raw and SmackDown, and seeing how we haven't even one legitimate star that people can name other than Roman Reigns and the Usos, and now the New Day, Jeff Hardy, and up and coming stars that barely have yet to even develop into their own identity are off to Raw. Matt Riddle's off to Raw. The New Day are off to Raw. Sheamus is off to Raw. Jeff Hardy's off to Raw. AJ Styles is off to Raw. It's it's not that enticing to even signify qualifying matches for something that's not even that beneficial except to dignify bragging rights for no reason. And who's even gonna benefit from there when you have no GM? There's no mail ticket. Nobody gets a title shot. No one gets, like, any sort of power in the roster. I mean, the last time there was importance into winning an elimination Survivor Series match was, I think, 2014. At least, like, the Authority were, like, the major heel faction at the time, and taking Triple H and Stephanie out of power was the prime goal, and they were a major heel. And having Sting come out, Dolph Ziggler with the underdog victory, that was at least important. And that was when they had no brand split. They were nearly a year from unifying the World Heavyweight and WWE Championship. And then another time is when they had uh, uh, when Steve Austin was co-GM with Eric Bischoff when they were running Raw. They come around literally with a constant power struggle of disputes of booking matters on Raw, and Steve Austin, like, always, being difficult. They ended up putting Steve Austin's job on the line with a good match, and it ended with Michaels getting pinned by Orton. And of course, it's 2005 Survivor Series and 2004 Survivor Series, where if any group wins, each member gets to run a week of Raw. That was at least exciting at the time, depending on the circumstances of who's going to get a title shot, who's going to abuse the power. It's exciting, and at least it gives a benefit to the winner. I'm not this enticed, especially if we have around Retribution still looking like a joke, the women's division looking like irrelevant as hell. It's still trying to mask the concept that Nia Jax is attractive, and that makes me want to vomit. And of course, uh, this now new occurring feud with the Fiend and Randy Orton now, but then they teased the benefactor of Drew McIntyre that literally teased the moment in Moment of Bliss that he will be, interrupting and trying to attack Randy Orton, even though he lost clean at Hell in a Cell. So the factor of that is that he's not even trying to issue a title match rematch like 2 weeks from after last week because, I thought you could do that if you recently lost your world title. But enough of me ranting. Let's go over what happened in most of the show. We of course had Jeff Hardy against AJ Styles, with of course of course Styles' new bodyguard, with him issuing a complaint uh that why would he even need to qualify? He doesn't have to prove himself. And this was literally just to tease over the fact that Jeff Hardy's still feuding with Elias, even though we kind of opened with McIntyre after bringing his talk post match after Hell in a Cell. He issued that he will be facing off against The Miz in a one-on-one after cutting off his promo time and bragging about winning Money in the Bank. So if you missed the opening segment there, I think that's what I missed. So the Styles and Jeff Hardy match was sound. At least it was relevant because when he beat him for the Intercontinental title, it was using a knee brace. He said a legal knee brace. So does that mean if I use a wheelchair as a weapon, is it illegal? Well, it's considered a weapon. But how else am I gonna walk? There was a crossbody from the top that Styles bodyguard. His first name was Jordan, so I'll just call him by that basis because of course I'm not African, so it'll be difficult for me to even enunciate his last name. Apologies off that dude. Sorry, I only remember you as the door guy for Raw Underground. Sadly, I sort of wanted to come back, but if they continue just doing the fake MMA crap with like no storytelling or at least a semblance of like having those women make it look more adult, make it feel like a different thing from how Raw is, then I felt like Underground had some staying power, but I know they wouldn't do that because of course WWE's PG. Even though we say shit piss bitch, we continue to do inappropriate crap. And obviously, some of our actual wrestlers don't really care about WWE's identity because they're just happy to be there. The match ends off a phenomenal forearm over a distraction from Sal's bodyguard. This was actually a decent match to open the show. And it ends with Elias attacking Jeff Hardy with a guitar. Would it come back to bite him? Well, you will know next. Next up we have, of course, Lucha House Party face off against Drew Gulak and Akira Tozawa. With, of course, R-Truth going to scout the competition, even though Charlie Caruso constantly gave a pretty good question over isn't that dangerous, even though you can get pinned anywhere, any place, especially when a ref is on the damn ring. But we forgot that R-Truth is retarded. So, of course, he wouldn't mind going up there over the tag team match, and the match was as forgettable as you can fester. Over like 50 reigns as 24/7 champion, and this 24/7 title is only relevant because R-Truth holds it, and because R-Truth is actually entertaining, has charisma, and he's actually funny. Makes the belt mean something because if you give it to Drew Gulak and you hold it for over a day, you'll forget that the belt exists. And most of the guys that we fired, they would be 20-something time 24/7 champion too. So it ends up off constant near fall attempts over R-Truth getting pinned. We had some somersaults, some body presses, some crucifixes, still near falls. R-Truth came around running away. Oh yeah, and I think Lucha House Party came up with the victory here. I don't really care, to be honest, because they're gonna make this runoff thing, and I like the interesting segments. You just don't have to make it a match. We had Elias versus Keith Lee for another qualifying match to get to a Survivor Series pick to be in the males Raw team, and I always hate that. Like you have to separate it for the system for like women to be included because of course the women's Survivor Series matches are important for bragging right reasons. They have a point system, and it's like, why make a point system if it's not going to benefit you anywhere? They did this also when NXT was joining. Will they do it next time, even though they were considerably the third brand? Oh, they have Finn Balor and Emperor Moon. That means they gotta be legitimate. They even got Pat McAfee. It's Pat McAfee. He was doing kickoffs for WrestleMania. I am sure Pat McAfee he's a great individual, obviously a good punter, it, and he's actually a captivating talker. Just Pat McAfee's not going to be the reason mainstream casual people are going to watch. Even football fans are not going to watch, all because Pat McAfee's on NXT on a Wednesday. Mike Tyson was literally on AEW. People would rather watch that than see a retired punter come around beating up midgets. And he's with like who? Like the guys that are like 24/7 in tag team matches, Oney Larkin and Danny Burch. God no, I'd rather see Retribution Retribution win the tag belts. So what's next? We have of course Keith Lee against Elias, and this was a decent match. The highlight was of course a pounce ringside to the commentator's table, hitting Elias over to what looked to be. I thought he was hitting up Michael Cole. I thought that was Michael Cole he hit, or Samoa Joe. Some counter clotheslines. We had a high knee for a near fall. The match was getting as decent as it was until Jeff Hardy's music played, causing a bit of a distraction off Elias. He got hit with a spirit bomb for the win. Then Hardy came hitting Elias with a guitar. So they're going to continue this feud. Oh, and Keith Lee's on the Survivor Series men's team. Yay. We also got conflicted with, of course, Adam Pearce being consulted by the women's tag team champions out of Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax, issuing if they are going to be captains of the women's team because they've been the most dominant part of the women's division. That I'm still shocked that they are still tag team champions. This is how irrelevant the women's tag team titles are, especially when you have like no character in it, in like very little prestige. Even though like Bailey and Sasha hold it for like umpteenth amount of months. The Iconics did nothing with them because you just let them have squash matches until you let them beat like the Kabuki Warriors. The Kabuki Warriors were like the most relevant tag team champions because at least Asuka was entertaining. Next up, we had an 8-man elimination tag team match involving the Hurt Business against Retribution. Why are two heel factions going over the factor of this? At least the Hurt Business have a reason that they are getting probably paid off by Adam Pearce or anybody in the higher ups of the WWE to like stop the menace of Retribution, even though they could just get paid, talk to Retribution, and just do nothing. Like a real heel faction, they shouldn't be intervening with another heel faction. But I understand they get paid, they do the job. I understand they look legitimate, they look good. They came off of beating up Titus O'Neil. That Titus O'Neil can literally save a bag of puppies from under a bridge. And guess what? He gets beaten up by rabid dogs, munched alive. That's how tough it is for Titus O'Neil. And I'm sure he's probably grateful for the opportunities he had for the WWE. And all respect to him, man. But every time you feel like he's gonna be like in a higher chance in the card, he just gets kicked in the nuts. And probably Darren Young is laughing at him. Or giving him terrible eyes, but I'm not going to go into deeper detail. Other than that, we had, of course, a tag team match. So, we had, of course, MVP opening up with, I think, not T-Bar, Slapnut, or whatever the hell his name is. It's Shane Thorne. Open up with some breast holds, counteracts. There was a big boot, and then Mia Yim come around faking a seizure, heart attack, whatever the hell that was, shaking up and caused a roll-up pin. And as soon as the ref thought, oh my god, this young lady is nearly dying in the ring. Oh god, I got the pin. And it was a win! First elimination was MVP, because of course MVP has to be the sacrificial lamb, even though he's supposed to be the brains of the operation for retribution. So, I mean for the Hurt Business. So other than that, Mr. 305 gets eliminated first by Slapjack. Then Lashley comes around, eliminating Slapjack with immediate spear after some counteracts. The only thing I saw from Mace was, of course, a Booker T high kick. That being serious. Shelton Benjamin came around, eliminating Mace with a quick pay dirt. Then Bobby Lashley came around brawling with T-Bar from outside the ring until they got double counted out. So it was stuck with, I think, a 2-on-1 with a 2-on-1 with Cedric Alexander, stuck with Mustafa Ali. And they were doing, of course, their constant flip stuff until a chair came into play, causing a DQ for Mustafa Ali. So look who comes around acting like the idiot, even though he's the brains of the operation. So Lashley came back, Shelton and MVP came back, backing up and making Mustafa Ali look like an idiot. Even though he could have just called more of the people, even though they're supposedly more of the Retribution group, even though they're supposed to be underutilized NXT talent or something or other stars, and they come around looking like weaklings. Slapjack already lost on pay-per-view, and that's supposed to represent your dominant faction, like with two decent big guys, one that got babied by Brock Lesnar, and one that keeps losing to Keith Lee. And Mia Yim continues looking like a freaking Nikki Cross back when Sanity was relevant. Like, that's not good. You guys are a C- freaking Sanity product midget jobber faction that continues losing to another heel faction that actually looks more legitimate than you. So that's already your fault in this standpoint. And guess what? Guess what? No one cares that Mustafa Ali's not getting booked up as a main eventer. They keep doing these like photos, and this is supposed to be a sympathy notice over for Mustafa Ali that he can't get over because you look like somebody that probably knows the best books in a library or something like that. And he's supposed to be a former police officer and all this stuff with very little character. And the only thing I know about you is you got your ass kicked by Buddy Murphy a lot. That's what you get for like even in a shoot, you guys get like laughed at from because you guys are literally a joke. McIntyre had a decent match with The Miz in their next match, and you come you come around still jobbing out to like a former WWE champion. You look like a lower card midget when you're with a literal like guy who actually got built. You've been like what over 15 years in the WWE, and your body hasn't changed. McIntyre was literally fired. He came around looking like a Dutch girl into looking like a literal man that can eat your dinner. You're not going to say anything about it. So at least I can give McIntyre that he looks like $1,000,000. Doesn't speak like it though. So yeah, we had some decent moves. Targets over to the knee. That's technically it. We had like what a drop kick, back neck breaker for a kip up. Then Morrison was coming with the Money in the Bank briefcase to attack McIntyre when the ref was distracted off the Miz, and then he tossed away the briefcase, belly to belly suplexed Morrison. It ended with, of course, a Claymore kick, and it made Miz look more of a jobber because he had nothing to gain off this match, other than just a spout of like nothing with McIntyre. Of course, we had an Adam Pearce issue, a fatal four-way women's match to see who will be the final member of the Raw Women's Tag Team. Raw Women's Survivor Series, and it was as irrelevant as it sounded. So it was Lana, Lacey Evans, Peyton Royce, and Nikki Cross. Why Nikki Cross? Related to anything that Alexa Bliss is doing, so I don't think they want to intervene her in that. Lacey Evans is irrelevant, probably going to feud with Peyton Royce. I don't know why. Other than they tagged a couple weeks back, and Lana's just there to obviously be the undercarder that's of course going to get eliminated first in when she's part of the group. Oh, sorry to spoil it. This was a nothing match. Yeah, Lana won off sneaking up a pin after it looks like I think Nikki Cross come up with using her finisher. Then she tossed her out to get the pin. Peyton Royce came off counters off heel kicks with Lana. Then some forearms and ends with Lana picking up the shocker victory. And then she gets completely disrespected by her own Survivor Series group. Other than coexisting, they still make her like a jobber, and it's the umpteenth time she got Samoan dropped onto a commentary table. So we're back over Matt Riddle getting treated like a jobber because his allegations obviously weren't getting him much, and he just gets babied off Sheamus in a pretty decent one-on-one match. Yeah, the match was fine on the standpoint that it made Sheamus look good. The most impactful thing I saw was a knee to the face. Counters off what the Brenton, and then a heel kick. White noise, decent counters off submission holds, especially the rear naked choke that wasn't getting anywhere. And then it ends off a brogue kick. The match was pretty good. But what we're gonna do for Matt Riddle, especially when it's supposed to like showcase most of his abilities, especially after he had a good Survivor Series showcase literally last year when he's part of the NXT team. So that's a bit upsetting, don't you think? That's a bit rough around the edges, especially when it's supposed to issue a new guy coming into the fray, and you can't even get him over. So why in the hell is he on Raw with the more established dudes? We also had a Firefly Funhouse segment involving Bray Wyatt in a little segment, of course, involving Alexa Bliss, and she used Alka-Seltzer for Rambling Rabbit. That was a bit funny. They seem to gel well, and at least they're giving a nice character for over Alexa Bliss, so that's at least interesting standpoint to at least get Alexa something to do. Does she play off of Bray well? Not in my opinion. No, not that much. I mean, it's our first time in the Firefly Funhouse segment, and it looks like I don't know what type of relationship that he has technically with Bray Wyatt. Is just being a weirdo friend or something. I swear to God, people are already shipping this, even though they know that Bray's already married to a fake black chick that is an announcer, and we haven't seen her since what, like 2016. So the segment was okay. I can see that the segment was fine, but like they're still gonna just immediately continue pushing Bray over to the main event scene, and it's like it's so overhyped on the subligation. It's like, oh, he wouldn't get over back then when John Cena was there, and he still gets jobbed out to like 60-year-old Goldberg. Shut up. He's not that captivating. I apologize, man. I already discussed this, and probably it has something to do with him losing the Goldberg, or him being like having these baby BS cinematic matches that don't simplify a character. Because whenever they try to go to the allure of Bray Wyatt, it has something to do with him not getting over, or his just past feuds that are not even that impactful in the long run. They of course keep teasering and referencing the fact that that Orton burned down Sister Abigail or his house back in 2017 when they were feuding for the WWE Championship. So this is of course a reason for them to feud. At least it makes sense, I guess. I wanted to also go over the little New Day dressing as the Street Profits going in a interbrand match with the Street Profits after just swapping the SmackDown Tag Team titles and the Raw Tag Team titles. With of course their business there, with Asuka obviously shouting New Day rocks and making fun of how corny the Street Profits are. I thought it was a decent segment. It just doesn't feel that interesting because of course Big E at least had some more charisma than Xavier Woods, and of course Kofi Kingston just feels like that cool stepdad that you had once, and yeah, that's how I feel. So we of course had our moment of bliss segment that involved Alexa Bliss, of course, answering the question about her, how does it feel being champion, all of this stuff, referencing that of course you burned down the house even though it's blew up the house. I mean, tore the house down, but she's already warning her to call out Bray Wyatt, and it ends up with McIntyre assaulting. Then we of course had some flicks that's like, oh, it's Bray Wyatt. Bray Wyatt, he's a fiend. He's a fiend. He's scary. He's coming out. So it's not captivating. The allure was already overhyped when you make him like the most expensive one character in a video game. He subjugated no like allure into the match. He didn't even assaulted Randy Orton or anything, or at least flicked a fireball for irony's sake. This drama is just going to consist until probably a Saudi event or something, or at least until we get to TLC. Because, of course, tables, ladders, or chairs, even though we've done that on pay per views before, it's not interesting just doing it on a gimmick pay per view. It's not interesting. And why would you even make it tables, ladders, and chairs, even though you have a match called Money in the Bank that involves a ladder? What makes TLC much more different? Because it's TLC. Kill yourself. It's dumb. It was like a back suplex, and they just awkwardly segmented away from the show. That I thought, okay, fine, we're going to overtime. No, they ended it there. They ended the show so awkwardly over the consistent of, oh, McIntyre has business with Orton, and now Bray Wyatt has business with Orton because of past grudges. So at least we have some drama, but I don't really care about the Fiend anymore. And my hype sort of died down because it's Bray Wyatt. That's my opinion on the matter. Sure, I'm sure plenty of other people are hyped to see Bray Wyatt back in the main event scene, built up as like this rabid monster that is so inconsistently booked. They make him have a DQ and a Hell in a Cell match, and some guy named Pamelia Sub Productions coming around with his smarky reviews, inconsistent takes, retarded baby play it safe takes that take no semblance of logic over to the standpoint that he defends Cody Rhodes over his subjugated factors that having like 20-minute matches with Warhorse are obvious reasons why McIntyre is underrated, or having 20-minute matches with Jungle Boy. That's not going to consist of a constant viewer basis. That's why you guys sometimes get to have to stay at like 700k viewers. That's not gonna reach you guys at like the best of TNA. And you're not saying that this is not feeding Cody Rhodes' ego. Like some of this is dumb, and it's that dumb that this review is about merely 30 minutes. But that's how I feel in the matter. Other than that, if you guys enjoyed Raw, hope you guys did. Hyped up a Survivor Series, but there needs to be some semblance of drama coming over to the Survivor Series pay-per-view. No one's gonna watch for another Raw versus SmackDown, especially when there's no identity on the factor. Sure, you can do cross-brand pay-per-views, just let them be inter-brand related and make them have some drama. Make McIntyre, Orton, have a rematch with Orton winning. By Bray Wyatt means. so they can feud. Let it be the Hurt Business against anybody Adam Pearce has on Raw. Any baby faces like Matt Riddle, Keith Lee, Jeff Hardy, or AJ Styles or something. Let there be drama there. Or have like an elimination tag team match involving like interbrand women for the tag titles. Thanks to women tag titles are interbrand available. Do something there. No one cares about the Street Profits versus the New Day. No one cares about seeing another Raw versus SmackDown when SmackDown barely has any stars to begin with. It's not going to entice casual viewers to watch. That's just my opinion on the matter. And if you feel different, good for you, but it's a matter of a fact. Why do you think like some people are not even trying to watch Raw anymore? So, yeah, that's my opinion on the matter. Hope you guys liked the review. Thanks for watching. That's it for me.